And what we've done since then is we've built, and I think it's the first time that this has happened, certainly in Ireland and probably anywhere in Europe, a genuine grassroots movement from the bottom up, where people are taking control of their own communities and saying, we're not going to put up with this, and we're going to build, a movement out of that. And we developed it in such a way that it appears to be leaderless, that it appears not to have any strategy or, that it limps from one thing to another. And we've done that on purpose, and you see the reaction from the state to us. We saw the RTE program last week called Inside the Protest, when they actually just looked at 2 protests. When I think the most recent Garda figures I've seen is there have been something like 250 protests. But in 2022, we moved to a new stage of protests in Ireland, where we would have protests every Wednesday night, coordinated around the city. And we would have rolling blockades. We blocked various different roads and move on to the next junction and block that 15, 20 minutes. We blocked the tunnel many evenings and caused gridlock around the city. Now, you can do that for a certain amount of time, and then you start to annoy the people who you want to support you. So, these they're almost like guerrilla tactics. And, we are fighting a war without weapons, without guns. Our weapon is our people.
Peaceful protest.
Yeah, and it has to remain peaceful. Because,
what's your position on violent protests,
well,
just to be clear?
I mean, somebody with a background like me, I'm not opposed to violence per se. I mean, people have a right to defend themselves. But any use of violence has to be controlled, has to be within a particular type of setting when all other options have failed. I mean, the North descended into violence when all of the other options had failed in 1969. And we certainly don't want to go back to that or anything like that. I mean, this is why we're trying to build this as a peaceful movement.
Is the heat still there? I mean, are people feeling as hot still as they were feeling at the outset of all of this?
I think they are, and I think they're feeling hotter, in fact.
And why would you say that? Why do you
because
think that?
People keep getting demonized, and they call through all these labels at us. And
labels like what?
Like fascists, far-right, Nazis, and all of these things. And now, we've moved to a position, we were talking the other day there, and we're saying, what I say, eventually the political class says. I mean, there's a good quote from Carl Goulding many years ago when he said, we were right, but we were right too early.